folks, I'm glad that we are finally in a position where we are on the precipice of arriving at one of the most monumental deals our companies have ever been involved in. So I know we've negotiated extensively back and forth, but I just need to be clear. In response to Jeff's question and Mary's point, we are in a position to offer the following concessions, which I think you will find are going to be exactly what this team needs to close this deal. No, Archer, stop humping my leg. Archer, stop. No, don't. Oh, you took a shit in the middle of the office. Folks, I'll be right back. So, has that ever happened to you? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Site Selectors Are People too. My name is Devin Hillsdon-Smith, your host, and today I am keeping the office door open. So if you hear birds in the background, that's intentional. That's right. After a very deep and personal and intense episode for the first episode of season 3, the last one, we are going to have a little fun here. We're going to talk about a topic that is, yes, frustrating, but it's lighthearted and it's pretty cute, isn't it? It's the work from home coworkers, our pets. That's right. We're going to talk about pets today. So, why are we talking about this? Well, in our high-stakes world of site selection and economic development, we talk a lot about the travel, the burnout, and the data. Today, we're going to look at the creatures who share our home offices and hold the fort down when we hit the road. Our pets. We're going to tackle this in 3 segments. This first one that we're about to get into is the work from home reality and breaking, as we defined in our last episode, enmeshment. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back for segment 2, where we're going to talk about the road warrior's guilt and pet tax. And then we're going to have a little fun. We're going to flip the script and we're going to go into segment 3, where we are going to talk about pets as an economic development metric. You gotta listen to this one. So, the work from home reality. Well, working from home alongside pets, let's be real, it impacts our daily workflow, but it also impacts our mental health. But let's be real, okay? There is a loss of physical boundaries. When your home becomes your office, it's incredibly easy to let work completely consume your identity. That's that enmeshment point that we came up with in the last podcast. Well, somebody else came up with it, but we identified it. We didn't identify it. We found it and we repeated it. We stole it. It's okay, folks. But the point here is you can easily sit at a laptop for 10 hours straight analyzing real estate data, right? Right? Just me? We can sit at a laptop for 10 hours straight. Okay, maybe I'm the only one who sits at my laptop for 10 hours straight. No, I don't have a bucket or a jug under my desk. No, I don't actually sit here for 10 hours straight. I get up, I go to the bathroom. But here's what's wonderful about our work from home coworkers. Our little furry pets, or our feathered ones who live out in the main area of my place. They're the boundary enforcers. They're the chief happiness officers. Pets, quite frankly, don't care about our RFI deadlines. They force us to step away, to go outside, get some vitamin D. Oh, hold on. I'm dead serious. This is not a joke like at the beginning. I just said the O word, outside. And, all right, this may be the picture of this episode when I post it. My dog came running. Archer is now sitting right next to me, staring at me with, oh, he just got a haircut yesterday? Ah, buddy. Anyways, so what were we saying? Right, so pets, they force you to step outside, step away, go outside, get some vitamin D. Nobody. Okay, this is actually working out perfectly as a point here, but I need to stop saying the O word. We go O, we get some vitamin D, and we disconnect. Our pets are natural circuit breakers for anxiety and overwork. I'm serious. So one of the more interesting aspects of my life following the breakup that I referenced in 2025 is that I am fortunate that my ex and I are still good friends. And we co-parent Archer, which means in our world, I get Archer for 3 days a week. My ex gets Archer for 3 days a week. And that middle day, he gets to go to, now I cannot say this word, he gets to go to the place where they care for a day, if you know what I mean. He loves it. Not that he doesn't love us. Right, buddy? Right. But I know that for those 3 days that I have him, one day is on the weekend, Sunday, and then I have him Monday and Tuesday. Sunday, we spend a lot of time dancing, jumping around, having a good time, cleaning the house, going to dog parks. We have a great time. But come Monday and Tuesday, I tell you what, this dog has the guilt level of of my mother. Mom, that's a test. Do you still listen to this podcast? No, but his eyes are expressive. He can make me feel like the worst pet parent ever. But for those days, I need to find tips and tricks. Oh, nope. Trick is also, this is not intentional. I'm just using words that I would normally communicate with him with, whatever. Here's an example of this, right? So tips and tricks. Now he's also very stubborn, and I'm sure your dogs are also very stubborn. If you have cats, this episode might not be for you. But for those of us with dogs, right, I have a little licky ball where you freeze some of his canned dog food, you put it in, you give it to him in this kind of cage contraption, and he has to lick through and get it all. And that'll occupy him for like 20 minutes. And then I can open the door to the balcony and he can come in and go out freely, so long as the birds are not out of their cage, because I don't think my parakeets are going to make it in the real world. Let's be real, they're not that smart. I love you. So I have some tips and tricks, but every once in a while, every day, I have to resort to go take a rest. And he knows what I'm saying, because those ears go back. That look, that you've got to be kidding me, you're torturing me look comes on his face, and he's stubborn about it, and I have to, come on, let's go on. And eventually he'll go with his head down, pretending like it's the worst thing in the world, and he'll disappear for 2 minutes and he'll be back. No, he'll actually go and lay down and chill for a bit, for a while. And he has got more bones and toys, so it's not like he's being mistreated here, folks. He's just needy. Extraordinarily needy. But we love him, right? For those of you that are new, the podcast episode, the actual overall podcast, the picture, and I just turned up my mic the tiniest bit. Like I said in the last episode, we're going to work through the tech stuff together. But the picture of this episode is his gotcha day. So when I first picked him up from the adoption shelter, I think the picture for this episode, since I just learned I can make those different, I think that's going to be a picture of him staring at me. Like I said, I think that's exactly what we're going to have. But he's a cute boy. He knows what he's doing. Anyways, so back to the whole work from home reality. So that's the benefit, right? And yes, it's annoying when they come in and they paw at you and they need to go OUTSIDE, or they think they do, or they want you to think they do, but it does get you to step away, go outside and disconnect, which is great for mental health. Right? But there's also the unfortunate side to working from home with your pets. The professional, quote unquote, unprofessionalism, which nowadays, when we all got used to kids and pets, we've all seen videos of news anchors where their kids come running in, or lawyers who try to log into a hearing, a virtual hearing, and their kid had put, or their grandkid had put like the cat filter on their face. We've all seen it, right? And so we should all still to this day have some grace, but not everybody does. Let's be real, the pandemic permanently changed the corporate veil, right? I mean, it used to be that you met with people in these very curated environments, these offices that were designed for to give a first impression that aligns with the mission and the culture of that company or that place. But now we can't hide behind these curated environments. We're home. And so visually speaking, the great thing is, and I use it all the time because my office is typically a bit of a mess, but visually speaking, we have these filters that we can put on behind us. But I don't know if you've ever experienced this. If a dog walks behind you on camera when you have that filter up, that filter thinks that dog is supposed to be included in the call, and so all of a sudden you've got a dog wandering through what seems to look like a very corporate looking environment. And guess what? As long as you're not a jerk, that actually humanizes the process. It humanizes the person on the other end. I had a number of times, especially when Archer was a puppy, where I would be on, thankfully, internal calls with my former colleagues at Cushman, and we'd be having very serious discussions, and I would, maybe sometimes even borderline, not nasty, I'm trying to think of the right word, borderline, mission critical discussions where people are getting a little entrenched. And Archer would come in, this little puppy, and I would try it first, right? Try to be professional, reach down under the table and pet him. But eventually I could tell this dog was coming up on my lap. And so then I'd lift Archer up and, hey guys, sorry, keep going. And guess what? Everybody, oh, it's Archer. How is Archer? How are you? So it humanizes the process. It reminds us that there is a person on the other side of the call, of the spreadsheet, of the communication. So the work from home reality is, yes, can they be a pain in our butts when the mailman comes up and the dog just starts getting out of control? Yes, but we have to remember they give us these chief happiness officers that we call our pets give us a reason to disconnect. And that, my friends, is worth it time and time again. All right, Archer has to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Bye. All right, welcome back, folks. We're going to get back into our work from home colleagues here, our pets. And segment 2, as a reminder, is, well, it's when the team has to leave the office and, the chief happiness officer is feeling a little alone. It's the road warrior's guilt and the pet tax. So the focus here is going to be the logistical and, quite frankly, financial nightmare of pet care when the job demands travel. As I mentioned in the prior segment, I am fortunate enough that, typically speaking, I can schedule travel when Archer is with my ex, or if I really have to travel, he doesn't have to go to a boarding place. We can just kind of rearrange our schedules. But it doesn't always pan out. And let me tell you what, I actually haven't had to do this because people will come over and feed them and water them, but I've never had to experience, what do I do if I'm gone for an extended 3-month period? What do I do about the birds? I mean, I cover them at night because they get something called night terrors, which is when a shadow somewhere in the room scares them in the middle of the night. And because they are, as we talked about in the last episode, prey-centric animals, they start doing everything they can to fly to get away from it. So one will start flapping and smacking against the cage, and the other one wakes up in a panic and goes, "Oh my God, we're in trouble!" And then that one starts going. So I have to cover them at night. Obviously, I have to uncover them in the morning and open up the blinds so that they get some natural sunlight. And don't get birds, folks. I'm a weird bird guy, but oh boy. But I digress. So the logistical and financial nightmare of pet care when the job demands travel. So the first part of this is kind of like the guilt of the pack, right? We're contrasting the comfort of the work from home bubble with the jarring reality of packing a suitcase. Oh, that suitcase. When that suitcase comes out, I swear that dog thinks it's the end of the world as we know it. He's gotten to the point where he recognizes the suitcase, and you can tell how upset he is. We talk about the toll that travel takes on human relationships, but leaving pets behind, that adds a unique layer of silent guilt. You know that pet, at least as they're going through that ramp up to you leaving, that they are, well, they're not happy. And you never want your pet to not be happy, right? And then when you're gone, you're good for a day, maybe 2 days, but I'll tell you what, once I hit like 2 days, I really start to miss the little guy. Guys, sorry birds, you too. The guys, right? I miss all of them. For those of you that, you're not in a position where you have somebody that can just take your animal whenever you have to go somewhere, you also have this financial toll. So this is what I call the pet tax, right? With the rise of hybrid / work from home schedules, we're actually more attached to our pets now than ever, which means the cost of boarding and doggy daycares, dang it, I said it, doggy daycares, and if you're fortunate enough to have house sitters during site visits, that's skyrocketed because you're constantly looking for ways to do everything possible to ensure that little boy or girl of yours is as happy as can be. I mean, I think I can't remember the last time I actually looked. Just one of those expenses that I try not to pay attention to because it's mission critical in my mind. But like I said, we have Archer go to the D word once a week, and I think it's like $42 a day, which in my mind, that's both actually reasonable, but also kind of like, hey, it's a lot of money for a pet, to spend for a day at daycare. And then, gosh, when you get into boarding, you can be talking triple digits for a couple days of travel. And, I've never had a house sitter, but I would assume that's quite expensive as well, especially if you get 24/7. So the cost has skyrocketed. So not only has the guilt skyrocketed because we're so close to our pets, but the financial toll has also. So I guess, I'm going to end this segment with, instead of saying, well, no, I will end it with how I cope, but I'd like to hear from you about, what coping mechanisms you use when you're on the road. And I would love to steal some of them if possible. So, I mean, how do you stay grounded in a bland hotel room? Do you FaceTime your dog somehow? Do you check the pet cam between community meetings? I'll tell you what, for the daycare, they have a fantastic webcam system where I can check in throughout the day to see, quite frankly, how often Archer has been put in jail, which are the cages on the side of the room when a dog is acting up, or in Archer's case, riling up the room so everybody is acting up. But I'd love to know how you all stay grounded. For me, again, thankfully, my ex and I are still close. And if I'm really missing Archer while I'm traveling on the road, we'll find time for me to, well, not FaceTime with the dog, but FaceTime with her and put the dog on. And yeah, you can tell he recognizes my voice, but he doesn't necessarily know what's going on. So I guess I don't really have the best coping mechanism. I just miss the guy. So yeah, I would love to hear from all of you on what your coping mechanisms are. I will tell you, because I said I'd give you some of my coping mechanisms. Again, FaceTime with the ex to see my dog. I will, whenever I go to a location, I will do my best to bring something home from that location for him, which is because I have nobody else in my life at this point. So, I have to bring something home for somebody. Kidding. But I'm serious. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I have done something on this trip and thought about my pet. And in my mind, well, also in my mind, I also know that when I finally get home and see him, he's going to be so unbelievably happy. That tail wagging, that, oh, if I get lucky, I'll get that happy grumble that a dog will give you when you first walk in that door. But I also know, like, I get to give him a brand new toy or a brand new bone or treat or something, right? So it helps. It's all mental, right? We have to remember that our pets are, as long as we've properly prepared, our pets are fine. They're sad when you left, and they're probably a little mopey for a bit after that, but they're good. They're in good hands. So it's really about taking care of ourselves once again, because we miss them as much as they miss us. All right. Wait, hold on. Really? No interruptions? We're going to break. See you in a few. Bye. I was about to do my normal, all right, and we're back, but I feel like I need a different catchphrase. Did you miss me? No, that doesn't work. Anyways, so let's get into the fun part of this episode. And this is going to be a short episode compared to my normal rambling. We are going to attempt to stay just north of 30 minutes. We'll find out. I'm now, what's the term, prognosticating. And everybody's going to know if I stuck to it or not based on the length of this episode. So I might go back and edit so I can be right, but I don't think I will. Anyways, part 3, pets as an economic development metric. So let's flip the script to look at work from home and pets through a professional economic development and talent attraction lens. Well, the work from home migration. Remote work allowed millions of people to adopt pets. What a wonderful side effect of COVID. However, now when remote or hybrid workers are looking to relocate, pet-friendly amenities are no longer just nice to have. Are they? Are they critical infrastructure at this point? I gotta tell you, if I was moving from Carmel, Indiana to, we'll say Hampton Roads, because I was just out there for a fam tour. If I was moving out to Norfolk, Virginia, and I was trying to figure out exactly where I was going to live, the neighborhood, say I had 5 different options. Yeah, I think I would. If it came down to it, now this wouldn't be critical, so maybe it's not critical infrastructure, but it would be highly preferred that I'm within driving distance of pet-friendly amenities. No, I guess I'm thinking pet-friendly amenities and like a solid daycare. I don't mind driving a bit longer for a daycare, but I guess we're also talking, dog parks and, pet-friendly restaurants. One of my favorite restaurants here in town is walking distance from my place. It's called Divvy. And Divvy is, not only do they have a patio where you can sit and have a meal with your dog, they don't just tolerate them, they love them. They welcome them. They have a whole wall full of pictures of doggo guests. And they have a dog-centric specific menu where everything you buy, whether it be little cut-up pieces of steak or a bowl of fruit, Archer hates the fruit, loves the steak, or shredded chicken or a peanut butter spoon, every dollar you spend goes to a local charity that supports pets in need of adoption. So yeah, I think at this point, I guess I would consider it critical infrastructure. I don't think I could move somewhere that didn't have pet-friendly amenities within driving distance. Heck, walking distance. I think I'm spoiled and I would require a certain level of amenity density to be within walking distance. And that leads to the next point, redefining the notion of quality of life. So how much do pet-friendly assets move the needle for talent attraction today? And again, let's expand the term assets. High-end dog parks, pet-friendly, not just restaurants, but downtowns and breweries, expansive trail networks. And of course, like I said, good, I was going to say it, buddy, don't freak out. Good daycares and boarding facilities that you trust. Because while you're still going to miss your little buddy when you're gone, you need to realistically and objectively be able to remember that they are in a really good spot being taken care of, right? I haven't had a site selection client ask me to weigh pet-friendly assets as part of the quality of life metric, but I might start weighing that. Interesting. Now that leads us down another rabbit hole. Quality of life, there could be a notion out there for some of us who have never lived in rural America that quality of life requires density, vibrancy, and activity. Small towns, small rural towns, do have their own level of charm, which appeal to a large segment of the population, much more so than having a noisy, busy, smelly city in your backyard. But does the inclusion of higher-end, bougie, pet-friendly amenities, could that add to the dynamic where rural America seems to always have trouble from a workforce perspective, attracting talent and capital investment projects, as well as primary markets? I don't know. I think for a very forward-looking company where, I love those companies where they allow me to have direct, unfettered access to their head of HR because they know that company culture and what they provide for their employees is so critical to their decision-making on where they locate that it is mandatory that I be able to speak with him or her, that professional, as often as I would like. So I think for those companies where they prioritize the human over the asset when we're talking about human assets, or I guess the human over the resource when we're talking about human resources, I think that I should not be surprised if we have companies asking us to evaluate this as a metric. And like I said, I think I'm going to start including it for the right clients. So that's quality of life. And then, there's also and this is all external focused, right? The pet-friendly amenities or assets in the community. But what about internally, the corporate real estate shifts? Now, of course, manufacturer-intensive industrial operations is not included here unless you were to consider like an on-site doggy daycare. But especially for office and headquarters, are companies adapting their headquarters to be more pet-friendly to lure work-from-home employees back to the office? I hope so. I've actually never looked into this. How would that impact the real estate activation strategies that communities are using? See, folks, you thought we were just going to talk about how cute my dog was, but there's some deep shit to think about here. And I realized I said shit on the last episode. I haven't cussed before, but I think we're just kind of there. Don't worry, I'm not going to get any of the real nasty stuff, but if I drop the S-bomb, or I don't think I'll ever drop the F-bomb, but if I do, fuck it. Ooh, I might cut that. No, we're going to keep it. Anyways, in season 3, you all know what I am, right? Hopefully you can get over my rough edges and focusing on the good, solid content, which, by the way, I'm recording this like the day after the mental health episode aired. And so like a week or so after I recorded it. But my point here is, wow, the outreach and I didn't realize, I think I kind of hoped, but I didn't realize the impact that episode was going to have on people. Thank you to everybody who has already gone back after me missing for over a year, and you all have already been listening to the episode. But also, I'm dead serious when I say I want you all to reach out to me and talk to me. The point of this podcast is not for me to just sit around and talk to myself, although for you OGs who have been here from the beginning, you know that that's kind of why I started this, so I didn't feel quite so crazy talking to myself. But the main point, I think, is for me to open up I'd almost like to be a magnet for conversation around these topics. And I need to figure out a way in which I can retrieve that information, so be open to communication more effectively and efficiently for you all, but then put it into the great depersonalizer machine and be able to spit out some feedback so that we can have a two-way conversation without any of you feeling like I'm going to out you, right? So I'm going to work on that. I don't know, that will not come this season, but I'd love to start season 4 with more of a call to action and a two-way communication function surrounding this podcast. So I think that, we're at minute 34. I said we're going to wrap up shortly after minute 30. So Site Selectors Are People, do this stuff. Bye. No, I'm kidding. We are going to wrap up though. So let's bring this back around to mental health. In an industry that can be isolating, stressful, and driven by heavy travel, give your dog, give your pet, your cat, give your dog, give your cat some love, would you? Because our pets are often our most reliable support system. And even though they're not sacrificing anything to love on you, maybe cats, we have to remember that critical role they play in our lives. And I, for one, when we wrap up here, I'm gonna open up. I've got one of these like I think it's typically for couples, like these couples books where you don't know what the activity is until you scratch it off and then you have to do it. I've got one of those books for Archer and I for my pet. I think we're going to go ahead and do one tonight. So I am going to get going here. But because I do want to open this up to a two-way call to action, I want to see the real coworkers behind your economic development projects. So find a way, whether it be via email, devin@-strategiesllc.com, or LinkedIn, or if you have it, shoot me a text. Drop me a picture of your either work from home pet setup or just your cute pet. Send it to me. Or heck, if you really want to be out there, create a post on LinkedIn with a picture of your pet and tag -strategies in it. I think everybody could use a little more pet in their lives, right? So I would love to see who's really running these projects in the background, because I know for me at least, it's you, buddy, isn't it? Who's a good boy? You're a good boy. Yes, he is. So, one last housekeeping note, something I will be doing here shortly is I'm going to be creating a Site Selectors Are People to official LinkedIn, I guess, company page. It's not a separate company, but I think it would be a good place for me to make sure I'm engaging with those of you who are listening and vice versa, to kind of separate it from, my personal LinkedIn has more personal insights or what's going on in my life. My -strategies LinkedIn is more industry specific and company focused. But I think this third page it'd bring a lot of value. So anyways, folks, who else brings a lot of value? Well, economic developers do, lawyers do, accountants do, stage managers for Broadway productions, they definitely do, and site selectors do too. You want to know why? Well, that's because site selectors are people too. I'm your host, Devin Hillsdon-Smith, and I always love talking to you, but right now, I love this dog, and we're going to go have a treat, have a bone, play, and relax. Give your pet a kiss for me. Have a good day. Or night. Bye.
Just a heads up, views expressed in this podcast are solely my own and are not attributable to any employers, whether past or present. Thank you.